Am I the asshole for refusing to cover my tattoos for my boyfriend's family dinner? I, 21 female, am a girl who has several tattoos, some big and quite visible. My boyfriend, 26 male, met me like that, and I hadn't had any problem with it. He invited me to go to dinner with his family, and I accepted, but he casually mentioned, maybe you could wear something with sleeves, just so we don't start any drama. I asked what he meant, and he said his grandparents are very old school, and might not react well to my tattoos. He said he didn't want the night to be awkward. I told him I wasn't going to hide part of myself to make his family more comfortable. He said it's not about hiding, it's about respect. I told him respect goes both ways, and I shouldn't have to pretend to be someone I'm not. He got upset and said I was overreacting, and making it a bigger deal than it is. I told him that I would go to the dinner, but that I wouldn't cover my tattoos. But then he asked me to please not attend, that if I was only going to be difficult, it would be better not to be there. That really rubbed me the wrong way and made me feel confused, because I think maybe I did behave badly, and I shouldn't have reacted so vehemently against the idea. I don't want to cause drama with his family, but I have had a hard time feeling comfortable in my skin, and learning to deal with the stigma people have towards me, because of my tattoos. And I don't want to go back and hide again. Plus I don't think I would be honest with his family either if I show myself as I am not. So,
am I the asshole for cancelling our date because she was 15 minutes late? I connected with someone on a dating app, and after a while of texting, we agreed to a restaurant date as our first time meeting in real life. To clarify, in my profile I have listed people not being on time as my biggest red flag. In our chat I talked about how punctuality is a really important virtue to me. And when we planned the date I specifically told her to text me should something come up or if there are any delays. Come the time and day of the date and she isn't there, I wait and check my phone and she hadn't texted me anything. She finally arrives 15 minutes late. She greets me but doesn't even apologize for being late. I ask her why she was late. She shrugs and says that taking ready just took longer than expected. I ask her if before she drove here she already knew she wouldn't make it in time. She says yes. I ask her why she didn't text me. She said she didn't because she was only a little late, and started looking visibly annoyed. At that point I excused myself, said our values don't align and left her there. She proceeded to shout after me and blew up my phone before I unmatched her when I got home. I just have absolutely zero tolerance for not being on time without good reason, especially when you don't even communicate it properly or aren't even sorry about it. And I know my standards are harsh, but I feel like I was very open about it and gave plenty of warnings. So,
would I be the asshole if I didn't give my coworker a custom baby gift? I have a side hobby making custom baby chalkboards, the kind where you fill in monthly information about height, weight, hash of teeth, things they love, milestones, favorites, etc. I have given one away as a gift to a coworker last fall for her first baby. And I've got another coworker who is due with her first child in about 2 months. Coworker, Grace, knows about the baby boards, has commented on their cuteness, and also knew about the gifted one I made for our coworker. I kindly asked her a few months ago if she would like me to make a custom one as a gift for her child due early this summer, and she said yes. Today I found out that Grace recently had a baby shower that coworkers were invited to. I didn't get an invite. This was talked about in public at the workplace today. At lunch, multiple women were talking about a baby name guessing game they had played with her, and I jokingly said, "Oh, was there a name guessing sheet that I missed out on?" not knowing about the shower. A few of the ladies kinda looked away and didn't say anything, but Grace said nonchalantly, "Oh, it wasn't something everyone was invited to, and I didn't think you'd want to come." I kinda laughed and brushed it off, but inside I was a bit hurt as I have a pretty good working relationship with her, and definitely would have attended if I was invited available. I'm now unsure if I should make her a custom baby board when I wasn't invited to the shower. I've brought it up with my husband, and he thinks I shouldn't make one unless she expressly asks me about it again. So,
I outed my closeted uncle after he shamed me for being gay at a family dinner. I 25 male came out to my family at 20, most were cool, but my uncle Dave 45 male has always been weird about it, constantly making comments like, "You don't have to act so gay," or "When I was younger, men kept that to themselves." I shrug it off until last week. At a family dinner, Dave started going off about how pride parades are just perverts wanting attention and how real men don't flaunt it. When I called him homophobic, he smirked and said, "Your generation's obsessed with labels. Why can't you just be normal?" Here's where I might have been the asshole. I'd suspected Dave wasn't straight for years. He's always been oddly fixated on my dating life, and once I even spotted him on Grindr I recognized his torso tattoo in a very NSFW pic. I never said anything until now. I snapped, "That's rich coming from a guy who's on Grindr every weekend. How's that working out for you?" Silence. Then my aunt gasped she had no idea. Dave went pale, knocked over his wine glass, and left. Later, my mom texted me, "You humiliated him. Was that necessary?" Some family members are on my side, but others say outing him crossed a line, even if he's an asshole. I'm torn. He's been nasty to me for years, but I know how dangerous it is to out someone. So,
would I be the asshole for telling my boyfriend's parents I'm not his babysitter? I, 23 female, have been dating my boyfriend Josh, 29 male, for 2 years. We live together as well. Recently, his parents have started asking me to get him to do things. Make sure Josh to go to the dentist for his cracked tooth. Or, make sure Josh updates his passport. Or, make sure Josh changes his pet food for his cat. we don't like the brand, or make sure Josh does his taxes. You may need to sit with him and help. The most recent has been convincing Josh to get a new job in an entirely unrelated field, because Josh's parents don't feel like he makes enough money. Josh makes 7 okay, I make 1 okay, so we are doing fine. Typically I respond with some variation of, I'm fully capable, Josh can figure it out himself. And if not, it will be a good learning experience for him. But that hasn't stopped Josh's parents. Now I'm planning on being a little harsher and telling them, I'm not Josh's babysitter, and to leave me out of these concerns. Boyfriend's parents want me to make sure he does normal adult tasks. I feel it is not my job. Is there anything else I should do differently? So?
Am I the asshole for refusing to let my girlfriend ride on my motorcycle unless she's fully geared up? I'm a biker, and while I'm something of a daredevil in how I ride, I also don't take risks. I don't have to. So whenever I get on my bike, whether on the track or around the neighborhood, I wear enough gear that I look more astronaut than motorcyclist. Full face helmet, jacket with armor inserts, gloves, boots, and aerobags aren't optional for me. I expect the same for any pillions as well. If you're on my bike, I'm responsible for your safety. And I refuse to be responsible for a completely preventable meat crayoning. My GF hates this. I regret showing her Top Gun so much, because I'm convinced that's where she got the idea in her head that it's a fantastic idea to ride my liter bike dressed like we're at a barbecue. Multiple times a week she pleads to go for a ride in nothing but jorts and a tube top, and gets mad when I turn her down. I hate doing this, but I think it's the right thing. I even blew $1,000 on a full set of gear for her because I think it's worth it, because no matter how good of a rider you are, the one time you let your protection discipline down is the time you're going to slide. Is it bad to demand my GF be safe when I'm responsible for her life at freeway speeds without a crumple zone or seatbelt? So,
am I the asshole for saying, no child support, no opinion? I, 17, think I might have to explain how I was born for context. My mom has 2 friends. I'll call them Amelia and Jessica. Jessica's husband cheated on her with Amelia, getting her pregnant, but Jessica forgave them. Then he cheated on her with my mom. Jessica still forgave him and forgave my mom, which makes me think she's probably the most forgiving person on the planet. Anyways, my mom insisted that Jessica's husband is my father, but he always denied it, up until several months ago when he realized how much we look alike. So he agreed to a DNA test. Turns out he is my father. So 2 affair children by 2 different women for him. He has been visiting about once a month, but things are still awkward between us. I was reading a romance novel when he told me I'm too young for those books and said I must stop reading them. I told him I won't, but he said I have to listen to him since he is my father. So I said no child support, no opinion. He seemed pretty stung by it. Was it too much? So?
am I the asshole for being late to pick up my family at the airport by an hour because of work? So my fiancée female and our 3-month-old were landing at the airport soon, and I was fully intending to leave work early to pick them up. Then I got a deal at work that fell into my lap that can pay me a couple grand. Keep in mind, she's on unemployment, WIC, and I make minimum wage. Am I really in the wrong here? I'm only a few months into the job, and this is one of my biggest deals yet. I feel like she's blowing it out of proportion, losing her shit that I left them there for a full hour. TBF, she's acting like I left her there all night, and she's telling me I'm fucked up for prioritizing a few grand over picking them up on time, even though I was texting her live along the way giving her updates that I was still at the office and didn't know how long it would take. We are in nitrogen monoxide shape financially to be skipping out on deals that come my way regardless of size. TBH, as of this moment, we're paycheck to paycheck. If we had room financially, I totally would have skipped work. So,
am I the asshole for not letting my coworker stay at my place even though I have the space? I'm 23 female, live alone in a small 2-bedroom house. One room is mine, the other one is basically my everything room. It's my office, my closet, storage. Sometimes I just lay on the floor in there and stare at the ceiling when life sucks, lol. It is not a guest room. I've lived with horrible roommates before, so I worked really hard to be able to afford my own place. And I love having my space. It's literally my safe little bubble. Anyways, one of my coworkers, 25 female, got into a huge fight with her roommates and they kicked her out. She was venting at work and I felt bad and was like, that sucks, oh my god, and even sent her a few places to look at. I was trying to be helpful without inviting chaos into my life, ick. Later that night she texted me saying, hey, I was thinking maybe I could just crash with you for a few weeks since you live alone and have the space. I literally got that sinking feeling in my chest. No, I'm not even close to her. We're cool at work, but we've never even hung out outside of lunch breaks and complaining about our boss. She doesn't know anything about me, and I don't know her like that. Why would she live in my house? So I replied super politely like, I totally get that you're going through it, but I really value my space and I'm just not in a place where I can have someone stay with me. Like I was nice. Didn't ghost her, didn't ignore her, just said no. Next day she's acting really weird. Then another coworker tells me she said I let her be homeless when I have an entire room to myself. Like girl, first of all, she's staying at her BF's place. Second of all, I pay to live alone. That's the whole point. I don't want to feel tense or uncomfortable in my own space. I don't want to tiptoe around a person I barely know. And I definitely don't want to deal with just a few weeks turning into I'm looking, but nothing's coming through yet for 2 months. Now PPL at work are acting like I'm the bad guy. Sorry for not letting a coworker move into my apartment, BC. She had a bad fight. IDK. I feel bad, but like, also no. So?
Am I the asshole for shouting at a teacher after she took my CIs in class? I, 17 male, was born deaf to a hearing family. My family, and I sign at home, but I need to speak while at school as the high school I go to isn't the most accessible or disability friendly. When I was 9, my parents paid for me to get a surgery to receive cochlear implants CIs, which I only really use when at school or out with my hearing friends that don't sign. I attend a mainstream school, and as I stated, it isn't disability friendly. Now, onto the situation at hand. Yesterday, I was wearing a beanie in class. Now, usually that wouldn't be a problem when it is my normal teacher, but yesterday we had a sub. The beanie I was wearing was covering the transmitter of my CI, while the part that hooks onto my ear was noticeable. I know that there are quite a lot of kids that tend to get into trouble because they wear AirPods or whatever devices people use nowadays for music that aren't headphones, mainly because those aren't allowed in classes. Usually, my teachers are aware of my CI and know that it in fact is not a music device, so I never have any trouble, but this was a sub-teacher. She wasn't aware of my CIs at first. Keep in mind that at first, while doing some assignments, this sub, who we'll call Mrs. K, came up to my desk. I don't know what exactly she thought my CIs were, but she didn't like them. Originally, she questioned me and told me to remove them immediately, or she'd have to write me up. I explained to her, made her very aware that what I was wearing were for me to hear her, and even took off my beanie to show her. She pretty much called bullshit and attempted to take my CIs off. This was an absolute no-no. I, on instinct, slapped her hands away and stood up before starting to lecture her, telling her she has no right to try and take my CIs. After this little stir, I sat back down, thinking that the situation was most likely over. I was wrong. A little bit afterwards, she came up from behind me and literally snatched my CIs from off my head. After this, I got up yet again and started full on yelling at this lady, telling her that she is not allowed to take assistive devices and threatened to report her. I know in this situation, me getting physically wasn't the right response, but I was scared as hell that she'd break them, so I grabbed her hands and tried to get my CIs back, which I didn't. Of course, after that she called the principal in, and me having no clue what the hell was being said, I just straight up told the principal that she took my CIs and isn't giving them back. In the end, I got my CIs back, but obviously due to me putting my hands on a staff member, I got suspended, and my principal said I was in the wrong for the situation. My dad is threatening to report this sub-teacher to the administration. So,
am I the asshole for not allowing my ex-wife to see our daughter? My ex-wife and I have a daughter together, who's now 4 years old. We were together for about 3 years total, 2 years dating and 1 year married. After our daughter was born, she lasted about 2 months before telling me, and these were her exact words, "I don't want to be a mom." She voluntarily relinquished her parental rights not long after. We ended up going back and forth in court for nearly a year over child support because she argued, and again, her actual words, "Women shouldn't pay child support." Since then, she's had zero contact with our daughter. Not a birthday card, not a gift, not even a "how is she doing?" We live in a small town, so it's not like distance is a factor. She's just never cared. Fast forward to now, I've recently started seeing someone, my first relationship since the divorce. She has a son just a month older than my daughter, and the 2 kids have become best friends. Things have been going really well. Then out of nowhere, my ex finds out about the relationship and suddenly wants to be involved again. She says that another woman shouldn't be raising her child, which she's not, I am. She's also been throwing around threats about trying to get custody even though she voluntarily gave up her rights and legally can't. I honestly don't even think she understands how any of that works. So now I'm just sitting here like, am I wrong for wanting to shut all of this down? She had for years to be in our daughter's life and never once showed interest until someone else stepped in. So,
Am I the asshole for refusing to apologize for slapping my boyfriend when he smashed our birthday cake to my face? My boyfriend Charles, 38 male, and I, 34 female, celebrate our birthdays together. This year, I contributed a small private room at a restaurant, and we invited 11 people. 4 of them are my local friends. The rest are his family members. I wanted to celebrate a new achievement in my career and thought it would be great to just splurge a little and get some delicious food. So we had access to the menu, drinks, and our cake. I had agreed to pay for 1/2 of the food aside from having rented the small space myself. The space was paid for in advance. The food at the end, as in any restaurant. We had issues last year because I felt that he was doing low effort things while I always did my best to give him a nice birthday celebration. We have an income gap, but it wasn't even about money. I was making less money last year, and I still made things work for him. So this year, he took care of inviting people, paid for the cake, and got me a spice rack as a present, which I loved. I made myself pretty, got my eyebrows and eyelashes done, and had my hair done. We were told to pose and pretend to blow the candles, because I didn't want to blow our germs on the cake. Then we each had a picture alone with the cake. When it was my turn, I was holding the cake when he pushed my face towards the cake, so I tried to fight it. His family started cheering, and he arched over my body and forced me to bend over until my face smashed the cake. My friends tried to get him off me, and he resorted to plastering cake and frosting on my hair. I don't need to describe the mess because I'll never be able to end this post, but I ended up slapping him when he attempted to do it again. His mother got up, and she got into an argument with one of my guests. I had to cross the main floor with cake all over my face to use the restroom. When I looked in the mirror, I had cake on my neck, and my blouse had red and blue coloring that didn't come off. I had to wash my face and got my hair in a bun because it looked less messy that way. When I came back, his family were all long faces. I told him what he did was unacceptable, and he said it was just a joke, that everybody has done that for ages, and that me slapping him just ruined my image in front of his family. I started crying and gathered all my stuff to leave. I notified him that he should pay for himself and his guests. My friends insisted on paying for their own food, but I refused, and we ended the night right there. My friends wanted to treat me to having dinner elsewhere, but I wasn't comfortable with my appearance. They ended up sending me the money that I spent, and that broke my heart. Charles had to pay for 1/2 of the remaining bill, and got charged a cleaning fee. I still love him, but I'm clear that I'll never be able to forgive him. We talked about it, and I ended things. He's convinced that I never loved him. He acknowledged what he did was wrong, but is adamant that his family hates me for slapping him, and that it's my fault. I told him that he ruined not only our birthday, but also my way to celebrate my career milestone. I've worked very hard to get to where I am, and that his behavior showed me what my future will look like. And that I'm sorry to say it, aggressive and so focused on making his family laugh at my expense, that I just realized he's not good enough, and that I've lost my confidence to be seen with him in public, because I don't know what else he will pull out of his ass. He says he paid for that cake, that he's not saying that it was okay to smash it, but it's not like I paid for everything. He wanted me to apologize to his mum, but I refused. I'm not proud of my reaction. We've never had any physical altercations. He says his mother feels humiliated because of what I did, and that she has been struggling with mild depression for years. I didn't know, and I came off as violent. I already blocked him, so...
Am I the asshole for kicking my house guests at 11 hours before their flight is scheduled to leave? My friend and his wife have made plans to visit us this summer for a weekend stay. The flight is 2 hours, so not a really long journey for them. We have our home professionally cleaned regularly and go all in to be good hosts to our guests. However, with any good thing, some people try to take advantage. I usually will take an extra day from work after guests leave to get rest, or even tidy up the house a bit. It's just a peaceful time for me to return to the normalcy of our household after being in host mode. Before my friend booked his flight, my husband let it slip that I will not be working the Monday after my friends stay with us. Next thing I know, my friend tells me that they will be flying out on a red-eye the Monday I took off for rest. This means they will arrive early Friday morning and leave late Monday night. To that I responded that I will be taking them to the airport as early as 8 a.m. Monday morning so I can have my day of rest like I planned. My friend tells me that he doesn't understand why they can't just hang out at our place or have us show them around town more on that Monday since they have a late flight. I explained to them that the day off is for me to rest, not to continue to be their host. I told them that they are more than welcome to leave their luggage here if they want to go explore on their own, but we will not be hosting them or playing tour guide after Monday morning. He goes on to admit that it was cheaper for him to book the later flight on Monday and that it's not a big deal for him and his wife to just hang out at my house all day until it's time for them to fly out. Keep in mind that I will have to take them to the airport or pay for rideshare because he refuses to pay. I will also have to feed them. I told him that they are welcome to visit and stay with us, but staying at our house all day Monday is not an option and he needs to make other arrangements. He's now accusing me of being a horrible friend and his wife says we're assholes. So,
am I the asshole for backing out of giving a speech at my stepdad's funeral after reading a letter he left me? I'm 24 female. My stepdad passed away last month after a long illness. He came into my life when I was 6. My real dad wasn't around and my stepdad basically raised me, taught me how to ride a bike, helped with homework, showed up to every school thing. We didn't always see eye to eye, but like, he was my dad, you know? When he got sick, I helped out a lot, visited every week, helped mum with care stuff when I could, even used some holiday time from work to be there more toward the end. Before he died, he asked me if I'd say something at his funeral. Nothing formal, just a speech. I said yes. Straight away. The night before the funeral, me and mum were going through some old boxes to set up a little memory table. In one of them, she found a sealed letter with my name on it. Said he wrote it a few weeks before he passed and asked her to give it to me. She'd forgotten about it till that night. I took it upstairs and read it alone. It started off sweet. Stuff like thank you for being a part of my life, proud of you, that kind of thing. But toward the end, it shifted. He said that when he first married my mum, he didn't want me around. That he tried to convince her to let me live with my grandparents because he wasn't ready to raise someone else's kid. That he didn't know how to handle it. And honestly just resented how fast everything changed. He said eventually he came to love me and that our bond became one of the most important things in his life. That writing it down was his way of being honest and showing how far we'd come. I stared at it for like an hour. I tried to just brush it off. Like, okay, yeah, it was a long time ago and PPL change, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. All these years I'd believed he chose me, that he wanted to be my dad, and suddenly it felt like that wasn't true. Not at the start anyway. It made me feel fake. Like the speech I was supposed to give would be a lie. I didn't sleep that night. In the morning I told my mum I couldn't do it. Didn't say why, just said I wasn't in the right place emotionally. She said okay, but I could tell she was disappointed. My uncle ended up speaking instead. Now some family are saying I was cold, that I let him down on the day it mattered most. My mum hasn't pushed, but I think she knows something's up. I still don't really know how to feel. Part of me feels like I let him down, but another part of me feels like he let me down first. And it didn't feel right to stand up there and talk about how much he meant to me, when all I could think about was how, at the start, he didn't even want me in his life. So, am I the asshole for being upset at my mom for screaming at my child? I'm a single mom by choice to 2 kids, 5 female and 2 male. The plan was never to stay in my childhood home with my parents, but my dad passed suddenly less than 3 months after my oldest was born, leaving my mom alone. Then COVID happened, etc. My mom's health has also been poor, so I've taken care of her quite a bit as well. We still live together. She pays majority of the shared bills, mortgage, electric, water, etc. However, I've been updating, remodeling the house, do the cooking, do the cleaning, mowing, etc. I also pay my own bills and for my kids' necessities and my own. I don't drop my kids on her. She babysits them less than she babysits my niece and nephew. I say this because I have a family member who is basically making her grandmother raise her kids, and it's wild to me. ... Anyway, tonight my daughter was upset because after her bath I said she could have a toy from our surprise basket, mostly using for my son potty training, if she would let me cut her nails. This has been an ongoing battle for years. She hates her nails being cut, and I can't even do it in her sleep anymore. She gets so worked up and screams and cries. If anyone has advice for this, please help. Anyway, at first she said yes and was happy. So, I got the clippers and she decided she wasn't going to let me do it. I told her that was fine and got up to get the little one ready for bed instead. She started whining she wanted the surprise still. I calmly explained that she wasn't going to get it because the deal was she would let me cut her nails. This turned into a full-on meltdown. So I tried to explain again, and then just went to get the toddler ready for bed before I came back to her, and had her finish getting ready for bed. She continued the meltdown through all of this. As we were about to go upstairs, she hit me with her tablet. So that was taken away, and I carried her up to her room and put her on her bed. At this point, I just needed a minute to gather myself. So I shut her bedroom door and held it shut to give us both space for a few minutes before approaching the situation again. Well, my mom comes storming upstairs and starts screaming at her. Obviously, this didn't help with me trying to regulate myself or with her. I simply put my hand up to stop her and said, I am the parent. And suddenly, I was being screamed at and being told how she is sick of this happening at night, and she's going to move and sell the house. Which I don't even understand because my kids rarely have this level of a meltdown. They truly are great kids, but they are still little kids. I said, fine, do that then, and she went back downstairs. Of course the kids heard all of this, and now my daughter is still crying about it 3 hours later, saying she doesn't want to move and she loves her house, and I want to be a family. I'm so annoyed because had my mom not gotten involved then, after a minute or two more my daughter would have calmed and been fine, and she wouldn't now still be upset. So, would I be the asshole for not inviting my friend to my B-day party? So basically, I had this friend, let's call her Erica, and every single year that she has been at my birthday, I have cried at least once. I know this may sound childish, but I don't really care. Erica has always been somewhat entitled, sorta like when it's her B-day she always gets whatever she wants. But when it's anyone else's, it doesn't matter. Honestly, I don't even want to be friends with Erica, but I'm in a trio with her and another friend. Let's call her Aben, and she likes Erica. I know that Erica will be very mad if I don't invite her, but still, one time I cried because she just wouldn't listen, and kept on insisting to do things that I didn't want her to. Again, this may sound childish, but I have autism, and like things to be about me when it's on my day. I am not like this at other people's occasions because it's their occasion. Another time I cried because she yelled at me for making a joke. Honestly, I hate her. I just can't stop being friends with her because of the whole trio thing. I just want my birthday to have no cries, and just be about me. Abe doesn't have this problem. She is respectful and shit. But Erica isn't. I could name so many other things I don't like about her, such as she doesn't pick up after herself, doesn't respect boundaries, and the list goes on. Point is, I'm pretty sure she would just ruin my birthday again. It's not for like another 1 to 2 months, but still. Anyways, I think I just won't invite her and invite one of my other friends. Erica might get mad at me, but at this point I might just lie and say I am not doing the whole birthday party thing this year. This is mostly just a vent, but I hope that it's not too confusing. So,
Am I the asshole for not telling my mother I'm dying? I'm 34 and dying from colon cancer stage 4. In 2023 I had an emergency surgery, and that's when I was diagnosed with CC stage 3. My mother moved to my place to help me, but things didn't went too well. She did her best to pay some bills and clean the house. Any help from people I knew was welcomed. My neighbor was cooking for me a meal a day. My friend was trying to keep me out of the house. My long-distance partner, now living together, was trying to entertain me. I was spending my time walking and playing video games when I wasn't throwing up or sleeping. My mother didn't appreciate any of their kind actions, and she will often tell me how all these people are fake. She will always remind me what she is doing for me and that she left her life for me, and none of those people will do what she did for me. A month ago I found out I have maybe 6 months to live without treatment and maybe 1 to 3 years with treatment. My partner moved to my place to help me and be with me. My neighbor knows the situation, but she is distant and my mother doesn't know anything at all. I feel like if I tell her, she will make my life harder. And I know my family always called me selfish, but right now I really want to be selfish. I know she will blame my life choices. She will make it about herself, like why God is punishing her and never about how I feel. I don't want her to know yet, so Am I the asshole for bringing food to my friend's party? I've got this friend I'll call Steve who is a great friend, but not a great host in some aspects. He throws parties, which are fun and enjoyable save for one problem that arises literally every time. There is never enough food. For example, he had a game night, and there were 10 people other than him and his wife there. He ordered 2 large pizzas and 1 small specialty pizza. This was from Domino's if you're curious about the size. For sides, there was an order of garlic knots or something like that. So the party was fun, but after a couple hours I was hungry again, still, and overheard another couple talking about getting food on their way home. The next time there was a get-together, I offered to have me and my wife bring a dish, but he insisted he had food covered. We show up and again, there's only enough for everyone to have 1 serving of the pasta he made. It really wasn't enough. I don't think it's a matter of cheapness, because the problem is only for food, not for drinks. He happily shares his extensive liquor cabinet and always buys plenty of beer and wine. He also always happily brings dishes for potlucks at other houses. For the next get-together at his house, I pitched the idea of a potluck. Some other friends also signed on to the idea. I'm sure you can see where this is going. Then New Year's Eve he hosted, and we ran out of snacks before midnight, and a couple of people ended up dipping to go to another party. He seemed annoyed, but I don't think he made the connection. So finally last weekend he was hosting again, and rather than ask, I decided I would just bring a dish and some snacks. He was visibly annoyed but didn't say anything about it. He was just short and avoided me for most of the evening. The next day he texted me saying it was rude to bring food to someone else's house like that. I apologized and said I was just trying to be helpful and reminded him about how food had run out at previous get-togethers and I was just trying to help avoid that. He got mad and accused me of saying he's a bad host. I told him I didn't think that was true at all, just that his food estimation abilities needed some work and that leftovers aren't a bad thing. He didn't respond and hasn't responded to any of my messages since. So, am I the asshole for telling my ex's new boyfriend she cheated on me with 2 guys while we were together? 125 male dated K27 female for about 1.5 years. We lived together, had joint savings, the whole domestic starter pack. I really thought we were in it for the long haul. Then she went on a girls' trip to Tula. Came back a week later looking like she saw the ghost of morality. Sat me down and said she needed to be honest. Turns out she cheated twice, once with some guy from her yoga class she said was like a brother, and once with a guy she met on the beach and connected with under the moonlight. I moved out the next day, blocked her, went full monk mode. Anyway, fast forward a few months. I get a DM from this guy, we'll call him Zach. Zach is her new boyfriend. He's all, hey man, hope this isn't weird, but I know you used to date Kay, and I just wanted to ask if she was faithful to you. She says you were emotionally distant and kind of checked out. First off, lol. Second, I sat with it. I didn't respond for a few hours. But then I figured, if he's asking, he probably already knows something's off, so I told him the truth. I said, she cheated on me twice, once with someone she told me not to worry about, and once with a random on vacation. You can believe what you want, but that's what happened. Good luck, no insults, no bitterness. Just the facts. He read it, no reply, then she texts me. I can't believe you're still trying to ruin my life. That was so inappropriate. I thought you were better than this. So now I'm wondering, did I cross a line? I wasn't trying to sabotage anything. He literally asked. I gave a calm, honest answer. But apparently, I'm the villain in her healing journey now, so.
Am I the asshole for demanding to go through my bill and his GF's bags if they are staying with us? I have a pretty severe dairy allergy. I break out in hives, struggle to breathe, and have to carry 2 EpiPens with me everywhere. If I get any dairy in my system, I'll end up in the air. My in-laws know this and have been extremely accommodating since my fiancé and I started dating 5 years ago. When we moved in together 2 years ago, we set strict rules for our home because of my allergy. The big one is that no one is allowed to bring anything that contains dairy into our house ever, no matter what. My Bill started dating his girlfriend a year and a half ago. They came to visit us together for the first time a year ago. My fiancé made sure my Bill explained my allergy to his girlfriend and our no dairy rule. 2 days into their stay, she bought dairy products and cooked lunch for herself when we weren't home. I ended up in the E because of cross-contamination. She apologized and explained she hadn't understood how serious my allergy was. We managed to put the situation behind us since both my fiancé and I currently have and want to keep a good relationship with my Bill. The 2 of them came for a second visit 9 months ago. We had a video call with Bill and his girlfriend before the trip to make sure she understood the severity of my allergy and how serious we are about the no dairy rule. During their second trip, I was taking out the trash and found candy bar wrappers and an empty milkshake container in the guest room trash, the room she was staying in. Even after she saw how serious my allergy is and how I ended up in the E, she still brought dairy into our house. I confronted her when they got back. She and Bill had a huge fight. Bill went through her stuff and threw out everything she had with dairy. He kicked out his girlfriend. Bill stayed for the rest of the planned trip. Bill and his girlfriend worked out the relationship after the trip and are still together. Since their second trip, Bill has come alone since I don't trust his girlfriend in our house. Well, Bill is planning a new trip to visit us, and his girlfriend wants to come too. At first we just said no, we don't trust her. But since we know this is important to Bill, we came up with what we believe is a good compromise. She can come and stay at our place, but we will look through her bags every time she comes back to our place. And if she doesn't accept that she can stay at a hotel or stay home, now I am being called an asshole for treating her like a criminal, and that checking her bag is an invasion of privacy. So, am I the asshole for repeatedly confronting my husband about not helping with our baby, even though we both agreed to take time off to raise her together? My husband and I have both worked really hard over the years, and when we found out we were expecting, we agreed we'd both take time off to focus on raising our daughter in her first year. It sounded like a dream plan and something we were both genuinely excited about. Fast forward to now, our little one is 6 months old, and things have not gone how I expected. While my husband does cook and I handle all the cleaning, a dynamic that's worked for us in the past, when it comes to the baby, everything falls on me. I do all the feeds, naps, diaper changes, nighttime wake-ups, which happen 3 to 4 times a night. Soothing, carrying, everything. She's heavy, and my shoulder is constantly in pain. I'm exhausted physically and mentally. Meanwhile, my husband spends most of his time on the couch watching TV, scrolling through reels, or going to the gym. If I ask for help or even just express how tired I am, he says I'm being negative and throws gender roles into the mix, implying that this is just what mothers do. Apparently, I'm the problem because of my negative aura. I didn't sign up to do this alone, and I'm starting to feel like a single parent despite him being right there. But every time I bring it up, he acts like I'm attacking him or ruining the vibe. So, am I the asshole for telling an ex-friend that he'll be alone for life? My boyfriend, 38 male, and I, 30 female, have been working for this company for the past few years. We joined together and have only been close to each other at work. About 6 months ago, we got close to 4 new employees: Alice, Clayton, Victor, and Martin. At first, it was just the 6 of us, and we got pretty close. Couple of months later, Clayton referred Cheryl to the company, and she started working with us, and we welcomed her to the group. Cheryl then introduced us to Remy. Remy was initially the clown of the group, he would say, and do a lot of silly stuff. Then started the games, even though Cheryl was the one who introduced him to us. He wanted us to exclude her from everything, but none of us were supportive of that. Fast forward to 2 weeks ago. I wanted to invite the others to my place for Easter, so I invited Remy and the guy he was seeing at that time. But I only invited him because I thought the others were going to come as well. They didn't, as they had plans, and so did I, so we rescheduled. But guess who did show up? Remy. He came over with the guy he was seeing and immediately started talking shit about Clayton and Cheryl, saying that they talk a lot about me and my boyfriend and stuff. And then he started trying to convince my boyfriend to cheat on me with my neighbor, who had come over, and basically destroy my relationship, all the while eating the food I cooked. I confronted Cheryl and Clayton in front of Remy and the others, and they in fact never said anything to him about me. I then proceeded to tell him that he was wrong for trying to end my relationship and their friendship, but I guess I was too harsh, because I told him he doesn't have a single successful relationship or a single good friend because of the kind of person he is. So, am I the asshole?